Everybody, welcome back one more time. And for those who don't understand what one more time is, basically we don't do an episode on Wednesdays, but it's been a crazy day. It was a crazy day, March 10th, 2026. That was yesterday, Tuesday. And I felt like I had to get a special edition show. We talked, there was the Bam Adebayo 83-point game. There was the upset in the WBC, USA losing to Team Italy. But then there was also the Maxx Crosby news, and then it followed up with the Trey Hendrickson news this morning. So basically what I did is say, okay, we're going to do a special edition show. I'm going to film the whole thing together, back to back, everything together in one episode. I'm going to post that, but I'm also going to clip each and every one into its own little episode so you guys can find them out, just kind of like 10 to 15-ish minute episodes on those opinions if you just want to watch that certain opinion. So thank you guys so much for staying in through the entire episode. If you're watching the entire episode, comment you've made it so far. But also, if you're just watching here on the Maxx Crosby video, if you just clicked on that, thank you guys so much for watching, and consider hitting that like button and subscribe button if you want more sports content coming to you guys. I normally do a podcast episode every Tuesday and Thursday, and then we got some other things throughout the channel, shorts as well. But yeah, let's get right into it to finish up the show here. So we already, as I mentioned, talked about Bam passing Kobe Bryant. And by the way, if you're just watching this NFL episode here, I will link all the videos in the description as well on all these other. If you just want to see, like, if you don't care about the WBC, but you want to see about Bam and all that stuff, you can click that one and stuff. Consider liking all these videos too, hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. But we talked about Bam passing Kobe. We talked about the upset of the year. Bam scored 83 points a game. That's what the thumbnail looks like if you're interested. The upset of the year, WBC, Team USA getting upset, and now could be on elimination alert tonight. We'll have to wait and see of what happens. But now, the Ravens madness has officially begun. So for those who do not know, today, Wednesday, March 11th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, the new NFL season starts. And, but prior to this, you could still negotiate with contracts. That kind of opened up, I believe, on Monday. And so this big news dropped this weekend that, Maxx Crosby was going to get traded from the Raiders to the Ravens for 2 first-round picks. But earlier last night, in a shocking development, Adam Schefter released that this was not going to happen because the Ravens basically pulled out. They basically pulled out of this entire trade. It's absolutely insane. So here's what the Raiders said. The Raiders quoted the Ravens on this. So here on X, this is from Adam Schefter. He says, this is the Raiders quoting, though. Sorry about this, the confusion. It says, the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of our trade agreement for Maxx Crosby. We will have no further comment at this time. So, shocked the world. So basically, here's something to know. This is where people have been getting confused. They've been saying, well, wasn't the trade process? Well, no, not technically, because the NFL new season doesn't actually begin until today at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's March 11th, 4 p.m. Eastern. So none of the trades that have been reported or any of the signings have to necessarily go through. Normally, they do go through, and so this is why it's so shocking. But this is actually, you can actually do this. And so more on this. Basically, Maxx Crosby failed his physical. Obviously, for those who do not know, Maxx Crosby had knee surgery, I think, in January, and then was on crutches until actually 1 week ago. So it kind of makes sense that he failed his physical. However, it's just shocking that, the Ravens kind of backed out. We've never really seen something like this happen, involving especially a blockbuster trade. However, it does happen like this. So it's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy that this has happened, and it's getting a lot of attention. So that's why I'm making a little bonus episode on here, kind of giving you my thoughts. For those who had watched my NFL free agency episode, kind of the start to free agency, we've seen the Raiders do a bunch of things. At that time, we said, okay, they're going away from Maxx Crosby, but now it seems like the Raiders might actually keep Maxx Crosby as well as keep all these moves that they have done, because they've made a lot of moves. Hopefully they all go through today, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have enough cap space, but they've got in Jalen Naylor, Linderbaum, a bunch of corners, and a bunch of people for the defense, so they've made their defense better. They're going to get Fernando Mendoza with their first overall pick. maybe they sign a wide receiver like a Tyreek Hill or Deebo Samuel possibly. But they've been on the move and they've been making a lot of good moves. And, as I said, they were my biggest winner of day one of free agency. And I still think they are a big winner because now maybe they get to keep Maxx Crosby, which he is great. He's one of the best edge rushers in the league. And I do want to know here, Adam Schefter did say people were offering deals for Maxx Crosby, but again, now with this physical, is it going to mean that his trade value is going to be less than what they got? They had 2 first-round picks for him, which I thought was a steal. But Shefty says this. He says the Raiders have already received calls from, quote, several teams inquiring about the availability of Maxx Crosby in a trade. For now, the Raiders are prepared to actually keep getting Crosby healthy and have him play for the Las Vegas Raiders. But they are listening to other teams. So if a team actually, comes forward with a crazy offer, they might accept it. But it seems like now Maxx Crosby, who was initially going to be a Raven, is not going to stay with the Raiders. And the Raiders might be cooking something up, which is absolutely going to be insane. It's insane. But Maxx Crosby, he's been giving us a lot. He's been giving us a lot of things to talk about these last couple hours and the last couple days. But for the Raiders, I mean, if you can keep Crosby as well as all these players that you have come in, I'm going to bring in Sport Track. Sorry, Sport Track is kind of the best place for all these money things. So I'm going to just show you guys all these players that it looks like the Raiders are going to sign. As long as they have enough cap space. And they had like $200 million in cap space, so they definitely have the money, and they just now lose $30 million with Maxx Crosby, who's one of the highest paid edge rushers in the league. But I'm going to pull this up here. Like, look at this. I mean, they get Tyler Linderbaum, who might be the best center in the NFL. They get Kwity Paye from the Indianapolis Colts, Quay Walker from the Green Bay Packers, Nakobe Dean from the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Nailor from the Minnesota Vikings. As I'm a Viking fan, I'm well aware with Jalen Nailor. He probably would have been a wide receiver too on most teams, but he had to be behind the dynamic duo of Jefferson and Addison. And they were able to also re-sign Eric Stokes and then this other edge rusher, I believe. But also, they got Kwity Paye to replace Maxx Crosby, but now maybe Maxx Crosby and Kwity Paye will be able to share the floor. This is kind of crazy to see what happens. I do want to see if they still have to re-sign some players. They do have to re-sign their kicker if they decide to do that. I mean, there's some other names, Tyler Lockett, some older players that I don't know if they're necessarily going to re-sign. But they still have cap space, I'm pretty sure, as well, which is a really good spot to be in here. Let's go to team cap. So I think they should have, so now they don't have the most money. They did prior to this whole news. They had the most money available, but now they still have $50 million in cap space. Maybe now they hold on. Maybe they just make a move for like a Tyreek Hill, and then that's it. And then maybe they can still keep that much in salary cap. I would want to see next year. I don't know who's a free agent next year, but they still have $164 million for next year. So, like, they still have money to, give extensions for. So they're in a really good spot right now. And if Mendoza is a really key statement here, but if Mendoza can actually, be an average to maybe a little bit better than an average player, they might be cooking something up here. And I said maybe it's a dark horse team to be a wildcard team next year in a weaker AFC. But now maybe, who says no? If reckless speculation, we can do this. It's reckless speculation time in free agency. But is it possible? Is it possible that the Raiders now could be a legitimate threat to the Denver Broncos or the LA Chargers or the Kansas City Chiefs in taking the division? Like, I could see it happening. Maybe this team can beat the Broncos, and that's the deciding tiebreaker. Who knows? I think the Broncos will probably still take that division, but who knows? And then I think that division just got much more interesting with Maxx Crosby because it looks like according to Schefter, it looks like they're going to keep Maxx Crosby unless they get an offer that they cannot reject. Like if they're offering maybe 2 more first-round picks or something like that. But again, with this whole thing of maybe he's not going to pass a physical, maybe it decreases his trade value. So maybe they decide just to keep him, and maybe then in the end it actually helps them in the long term, and maybe it helps them win a playoff game or make a playoff team. Maybe they go from worst to one of the best teams in the league, which is crazy. Obviously, Mendoza has a lot riding on him. They still are missing a couple pieces. I'd say they're still missing a number one wide receiver, but it's going to be interesting to see. But now we turn to the other side because on this, I titled it Ravens Madness because I said the trade is off, but Trey is in because Trey Hendrickson, one of the best defenders in free agency, is now officially going to be signing a deal with the Baltimore Ravens, which leads me to believe that the Baltimore Ravens, I don't even know, maybe they're just saying like he quote unquote failed his physical, but maybe they just wanted Trey Hendrickson instead. In my opinion, I think I would probably take Trey Hendrickson most of the time over a question mark on. I have a question mark on Maxx Crosby just because of his injury, and I think that's probably what happened with Baltimore. But now Trey Hendrickson staying in the AFC North, right? He's going to play now with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I think I like that a little bit better. I like that defense a little bit better than like teams that were interested, like the Bucks. I think were interested. The Panthers were interested. Who the Panthers? If they would have got them, they would have been a legitimate contender, I think. But it's just really interesting now because they get Trey Hendrickson, so he's gonna now get to play Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, which I think is really intriguing. But this, I think, when I was kind of dissecting the Maxx Crosby trade to the Baltimore Ravens, when we thought that was actually going to happen, I was like, had mixed feelings. Like, I liked it, but there was something that I didn't totally love about it. I like Trey Hendrickson to the Ravens more than I like Maxx Crosby to the Ravens. I don't know why, but I just feel like he fits better with them. And I think that could have been the missing piece. It didn't matter which one of these guys they got. I think that was a clear missing piece for the Baltimore Ravens defense. They needed a pass rusher. And both of these guys are very good pass rushers. So with all that being said, trade is off. Trey is in. Trey Hendrickson, I love this. I love this for the Ravens. And, they signed him to an insane deal. I believe I wanted to see the full details. I think it's $112 million. So that's $28 million per year for Trey Hendrickson over the next 4 years. A monster deal. Maybe he can finally compete for a championship. He was in the Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals when they lost to Matthew Stafford and the Rams. However, we know what happened there, and now that defense has been a mess. So now he gets to go onto a championship contending defense. And, with that new coach, you got Lamar Jackson, you have Derrick Henry. The Ravens just got more scary. And sure, they got more scary if they were going to get Maxx Crosby, but there was still, of course, a lot of questions to do with the whole Crosby situation because we didn't know if he was fully healthy and stuff like that. So it's going to be, again, really interesting to see what ends up happening with all of this, Raiders-Ravens mix. Like, do the Raiders end up keeping Crosby? And from what I'm understanding, I think they're going to end up keeping him, which, again, that's just crazy. It's so crazy. Like, we went from them trading him to now the Ravens saying, oh, he's not healthy enough for us. But now the Raiders look like they're going to keep him, and it could help them maybe even become a better football team. It's just insane. And this is why I love, the March. It's March Madness, I guess, if you want to say. March is normally a time when we're talking about college basketball. No, we haven't even talked about college basketball at all on the podcast because March and April are going to be so interesting, with the NFL free agency, kind of starting up. We got the draft coming up, and then we're going to get the NBA draft in a little bit. But then we also got NBA and NHL playoffs. MLB season is starting. March and April might be the best 2 months of sports ever. But I think we've had kind of the best sport day. The last 24 hours here has been insane. As I said, we had that 83-point game from Bam Adebayo. We had this whole Trey Hendrickson, Maxx Crosby mayhemness. We had USA get upset in the WBC, and it's just been crazy. And so this is why I thought it was, well deserved to do a bonus episode, really 3 bonus episodes combined into one, and appreciate everybody for tuning into this episode. Let me know your guys' thoughts. With this whole thing, Maxx Crosby, do you think Maxx Crosby is a better fit for the Raiders or the Ravens? We've already seen Maxx Crosby play with the Raiders. Do you think he makes this team better? Because this team has done really good things in free agency so far. They have been my winner of free agency. But now with the addition of Trey Hendrickson, does it make the Ravens a Super Bowl contender when we were already saying they were a Super Bowl contender without Trey Hendrickson, because they have a great defense, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson? But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, as I've been saying throughout this episode, I will interact with your comments. So send me some comments, your thoughts, reactions to all of this. I will probably like the comment and respond to you. Maybe we can get a good conversation going. But again, appreciate everybody for tuning into this bonus episode. I'm gonna have to go for now. I got some other things to get to. Appreciate everybody for watching this. Just want to say, coming up the rest of the week here, this is mostly, again, for the full episode, whoever's watching the full episode. Basically, coming up tomorrow, we'll have our normal Thursday episode. It's either going to be a spring training check-in for the Twins, but if the Timberwolves find themselves to lose another game to the Clippers tonight, we might have an emergency Timberwolves episode coming out tomorrow. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this. I got almost daily shorts coming out. We got a weekly rebuild coming out on Saturday. I believe we're doing the Baltimore Orioles. It's an interesting rebuild. I'm starting to film that these next couple days. Kingdom Competitors comes out Saturday or Sunday. Episodes weekly every Tuesday and Thursday for the podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Whether you just watch this NFL episode or you watch all these episodes, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to keep God first, because He's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Again, let me know your guys' thoughts about all of the things we talked about. Have a great day. Don't forget to keep God first, because He's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.